Swedish military exercises are taking place amid heightened tensions with Russia. Since joining NATO in 2024, Sweden's army has been standing by, ready to go into battle. This training is happening at Västerås Airport, 100 kilometers west of Stockholm.
That's missiles. They're putting new armament and ammunition in the aircraft, getting it ready for the next mission.
On the ground, jets become targets. The Swedish Gripen jets need to rearm, refuel, and take off again immediately. Landing strips are scarce in Sweden, and Västerås' civilian airport is strategic. In the event of war with Russia, it would play a crucial role in NATO's operations.
The runway here is long and wide, and it's capable of taking even heavy transport planes. So it's a good runway. It's a good base.
Air traffic controllers monitor the operations. But for now, the Russian threat seems to be coming from the ground. Not far from here, hidden from view, a mysterious Orthodox church was recently inaugurated.
You can see that around it, it's fences. Be aware of the dog. It's pretty checked out, the area. And that doesn't feel right.
This opposition official wants the church to be shut down. She says it's a matter of national security.
It's too close to the airport. That's the biggest problem, I think, with this.
This church has been causing concern for years.
Russia is establishing footholds using religious tools in strategic areas.
The church, it's really close to the runway and the terminal itself. So approximately maybe 250 meters. We don't know what's inside. It's only speculations.
I don't know anyone who's been inside that church.
It could be used to store weapons. It could be used as a facility to furlough special forces. And there is nothing saying that Russia would not use a facility like this in a case of war.
These allegations are ridiculous. Russia has no intention to attack Sweden, not military, neither in any other way. The Swedes are very active in inventing different fantasies.
The ambassador is trying to be reassuring. But Sweden is very much a target of Russian intelligence. Cyber attacks, disinformation, espionage.
Russia represents a serious threat to Sweden's security. The regime acts unpredictably and is ready to take all kinds of risks.
In Sweden, 2 brothers have been jailed, one of them for life, the other for 10 years, after being found guilty of spying for Russia for over a decade.
Sweden has asked 5 employees of the Russian embassy in Stockholm to leave the country after they were suspected of spying. The news comes after a report by local media claimed Russia was spying in the Baltic Sea and North Sea.
Intelligence services are also closely monitoring the Russian Orthodox Church, especially its leaders. In Sweden, the church has a few thousand followers and a handful of parishes.
Russian state is using the Russian Orthodox Church as a platform to gather surveillance, to gather intelligence, and to influence people in Sweden through that organization.
In Russia, the Orthodox Church is under state control. Since 2009, it's been led by Patriarch Kirill of Moscow, a close ally of Vladimir Putin.
Patriarch Kirill has a background in KGB, working in Switzerland in the 70s. He grew rich and during the 90s, importing cigarettes and so on. He is an actor within the Kremlin system, giving the idea of the Russian world and giving the idea of imperialism a spiritual blessing.
Since the invasion of Ukraine, the Patriarch of Moscow and all of Russia has zealously echoed the Kremlin's threats.
Не дай Бог в близкой нам братской Украине была направлена на то, чтобы злые силы, которые всегда боролись с единством Руси и Русской Церкви, одержали верх.
Patriarch Kirill's warlike sermons have caused a schism within the Orthodox world. In this church in Stockholm, centuries-old Russian Orthodox traditions are preserved. Mass is held in Church Slavonic, the liturgical language of Slavic Orthodox Christians. But Father Angel says he's alarmed by Moscow's influence. His parish is affiliated with the Bulgarian Patriarchate, which is apolitical.
Patriarch Kirill preaches war. He introduced a mandatory prayer that priests must recite in every service for a Russian victory over Ukraine. That's outright heresy.
Among its faithful are Ukrainians and Russians opposed to the war in Ukraine. Father Angel tells us that in 2019, the Moscow Patriarchate tried to infiltrate the parish. Around 50 newly registered parishioners attempted a coup.
They tried to organize a vote to become the majority and take control of the parish, to subject it to Moscow's authority.
But the takeover attempt failed. 1 year later, another coup attempt in a neighborhood located in the hills above Stockholm. This Protestant church has been run for decades by a handful of volunteers coalesced around Father Kirill and his son Johan.
Our family comes from this area, so it's very much in our heart, and this church is part of this area very much.
In 2020, to cover maintenance costs, they agreed to lease the church for just 2 months to an Orthodox congregation close to Moscow, St. George Parish. The newcomers did not pay the rent and tried to take over the church association by signing up new members. The attempt failed, and the Russians resorted to drastic measures.
This lock was changed 3 times. The third time, they actually succeeded to have the church for themselves for almost 4 years.
We couldn't come into our own church. They took it.
It took 4 years of legal battles for the Strindbergs to reclaim the building.
This highway is the E4. It's the biggest one in Sweden.
The Russians were forced out. They lost this eagle's nest in the heart of the capital, surrounded by sensitive infrastructure with a direct view of the Russian embassy. The Västerås Church is directly under the Moscow Patriarchate. One day during Mass, we tried to approach the faithful. This man was not very talkative.
How are you? You speak a bit English? No? Russian?
Я понимаю, я не уполномочен давать никакие интервью, потому что я имею отношение к посольству, поэтому я не буду ничего говорить на камеру.
He's driving a car with diplomatic plates. The letters DL stand for the Russian Federation.
How are you?
This church has a bad reputation, and its faithful feel stigmatized. Only one woman agrees to speak with us.
We're not involved in politics. We come here to pray, that's all. There are lots of nationalities here. Greeks, Ukrainians, not just Russians. We bought this land.
What are you doing? Stop. Don't talk.
Close.
The church cost over 3 million euros to build. Officially, it was paid for by parishioner donations. This journalist has published around 50 articles about the church. She revealed it was actually financed by the Russian nuclear company Rosatom, which is a state-owned corporation.
It turns out the church was at least partly funded by the Russian state.
From obtaining the building permit to completion, it took 11 years to build the church. The construction was led by a shady company.
The contractor in charge of the project had links to organized crime abroad.
At the heart of the project is a controversial figure, Father Pavel Makarenko.
Yes, I know him. He's a very distinguished person, from my point of view.
The Swedish justice system has a different opinion, for you see, this man of faith is also a businessman. And in 2021, he was convicted of serious financial crimes and narrowly avoided prison.
Pavel Makarenko was CEO of a Russian company, and he was convicted of fraudulent bookkeeping, to speak plainly, money laundering.
Ask Swedish prosecutors about this. I can say that I first time hear about this issue.
Pavel Makarenko denies the accusations and avoids the press. In May, however, he was filmed in an undercover operation by a local TV station.
Vad är det? Vad är det här? Glasögon, det här är en mikrofon.
Jag är synd att du är journalist. Det är ingen polisen. Jag har inte sagt att det går att träffa journalisten. Det är olagligt.
Nej, det är inte olagligt.
Det är olagligt.
This website linked to the Moscow Patriarchate shows that after 10 years of work in November 2023, the church was finally consecrated.
When the church was inaugurated, it was a big festivity day for the people working for this to happen. And from Moscow himself, the Metropolitan Anton came, and he's the head of the Russian foreign section of the Russian church. He is also a guy that has the blessing of the Patriarch Kirill. And then from the Belarusian embassy, the ambassador came. From the Russian embassy, the second man came, Lyapin, who has been pointed out being Russian intelligence by media reports, probably belonging to SVR.
Well, you have a very good sense of humor. Vladimir Lyapin is a diplomat.
On the same website, a disturbing photo. An SVR Intelligence Service Medal, a prize for good and loyal service, awarded to Makarenko and signed by the director of the SVR.
Мы из Стокгольма приехали.
Makarenko refused our interview requests. So we tried a hidden camera approach, a smartphone around the neck, translator in tow. It is indeed an Orthodox church, one where suspicion rules.
Are you Orthodox?
No.
Because it's not for tourists. You have to remove your phone.
Put it in my bag.
Yes.
No problem.
Father Makarenko is there, but it's impossible to approach him. During communion, we're told the presence of a non-Orthodox visitor is a problem. We're asked to leave. These are the only images ever filmed by a journalist inside the church, and perhaps the last. Because Swedish authorities are determined to shut it down.